Today we're going to be doing rear brakes on a 2008. It's a Buick Lucerne. It's fairly easy. A couple of tricks I'm going to show you to get the rotors off without stripping out the Torx that holds it on. I'll show you a couple of shortcuts that I do, and if you follow my directions, you should have no problem. Everything should go fairly smooth for you. So let me grab some tools and let's get started on the job. Okay. This is what we're going to do with the brakes on here. We're going to actually try to get this Torx out right here. As you can see, this one is extremely rusty. What I normally do is I'll take a chisel or a driver or whatever, and you just put it on top like this here, and you hit it pretty firmly, and that'll loosen up the rust that's on there, and then usually you can take them out. So I'm going to do that. This particular car here has got a rear parking brake that's actually incorporated into the caliper. You can see it right here. So this one you need a special tool or a pair of needle nose pliers or something to rotate that piston back in, but I'll show you how to do that. Sounds like it's hard. It's not. So let me grab some tools and going to get started on it. The first thing we're going to do is, remember I told you we're going to hit that pretty solidly just to break the rust loose. You don't want to damage the Torx bit, but you want to break the rust loose. And most of the time they just come right out. You don't want to strip it out, but if you had to and it did strip out, you can take a drill and just drill this out. It doesn't really matter that much. You have to drill it out, you do it. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take out those bolts that hold the caliper to the mounting bracket. And they're right in here. They're usually a 12 or 13 millimeter socket. It's actually, in this case, it looks like a 14 millimeter socket. All right, and what we do is take the two bolts out, the top and the bottom, and then we're going to remove the caliper from the car. The bottom's a little bit tight, so we're going to need a wrench on that one. It's a little bit tight to get in here with the ratchet, so you just put a wrench on it and you can break it loose, and then you can rotate them out by hand. They usually come out fairly easy once you break them loose. And then we're going to take the caliper and we're just going to relocate it to the side for now. And I'll show you what we're going to have to do. But let's get this rotor off of here first, and we'll get started on it. I'm going to show you the bolts in the back of the mounting bracket that have to be removed. Probably going to be a 15 millimeter. I'll show you where they are. We're going to take out that bolt right there because we want to take this mounting bracket off of the car. The next one we're going to take out is down underneath the bottom right here. We're going to take that one out right there also, and we're going to remove that mounting bracket. One thing very important is you want to make sure your slide pins slide correctly. They should slide fairly easily back and forth. Sorry about that light there. I know it's not that bright. Maybe you can see a little better here. You want to make sure your slide pins slide nice and easy, and we're going to lubricate them just to make sure that they don't freeze up in the future. This one is a little bit tight. It rotates, but it doesn't slide as freely, so we're going to make sure we lubricate everything really well. So let's take that bracket off the car, and then I'll show you how to turn that piston back in on the caliper. Remember, we said these are 15 millimeters, so you break both of them loose first before you take the bolts all the way out. Break them both loose Be careful, because in the back here the anti-lock brake sensor is there, the ABS. You don't want to break the wiring on there. Same thing on the top, and we're going to take that totally out also. Don't discard these bolts, because you are going to need to put these back into the car. So now we're just going to relocate this to the side, because we're going to come back to this momentarily. Now we want to get the rotor off the car. I'm going to show you how you can do that. A lot of times they're pretty badly rusted in place, so it's a little bit difficult to get the rotor off the car. So we're just going to push this out of the way here for now. And the way you get it off is you come in the back, and let's see if you can see this. You go in the back here with a pry bar, back behind the rotor, and you put the pry bar up against the mounting bracket where the, let's see if you can see that, right here where your mounting bracket for the caliper applies to. You put your pry bar in there and you pull it. If it don't come off, then what you do is you take a hammer and show you. You take a hammer and you tap on the rotor, on the face of the rotor. You don't want to hit this part. You hit the face of it, pull on the pry bar, and tap right here. It pops right off. Usually, even when they're badly rusted, they still come right off. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get new rotors, because these are in pretty poor condition and they're not going to be machinable. They look pretty bad. So let's get the new rotors, get the new brake pads. We're going to clean up this area right here where the new rotor is going to go back onto, and we're going to continue. Let me grab the tool and I'm going to show you how to recess that piston. Okay, and the way you're going to reset this piston back into the bore is you have to turn this piece in. There's a tool that fits in there and it rotates. If you don't have the tool, I'm going to show you another way you can do it without the tool. You can take a pair of needle nose pliers. It's a little bit more difficult. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, depending how tight it is. And you can turn, I don't know if you can see this, you can turn this piston in, back into the bore. It's a little more difficult like this, but it can be done. But it is hard. And you can rotate it in very slowly. It's a pain in the rear end doing it this way, but it can be done if you had to. I prefer using the correct tool for the job. And the correct tool is pretty easy to use, and it works much better than the other one. Basically what it is, it's two little notches like this that fit on the end of a tool, and what it basically does is it rotates the piston back into the bore. A lot easier using the correct tool for the job. turns in a lot easier. I hope you can see okay. I'm trying to, let me see if I can relocate this somewhere for you. Okay, it turns in, hope you can see it. It turns right in like this. And then what you do is just put this tool on here and you rotate it and you turn the piston right back in to the bore. Now that it's turned in all the way, we'll take our tool back off. So I'm doing something now, I'm going to show you as soon as I take it out of here. Okay, now that the piston is pushed back in, you want to line these two little grooves up so that they're straight the way that it actually came off. Remember, you can use this tool, needle those pliers if you have to turn it, to line everything up, and line it up like that. So now that the piston is pushed back in all the way, we're going to get our new rotors, and we can start to wrap this job up. We're just going to relocate that to the side for now, and we're going to clean the face of this off here a little bit too, to keep any kind of a pulsating feeling from the new rotor. So let me grab the tool and we're going to clean that up. Lots of different tools that you can use. I use a tool like this here. It actually cleans it off pretty well. And it'll clean off all the rust on here. If you don't have this tool, you can use sandpaper to clean it off. You can use a razor blade. You can use a scraper. Anything that you have your hands on, you can use to clean it up. So let me finish cleaning this up. I'm going to grab the new rotor and the new pads, and we're going to start to get this job wrapped up. So we'll come right back. Right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the brake pads from the mounting bracket. Sometimes they're pretty tight. You can just hit them and they come pretty much right out. We're going to also be replacing this hardware kit here. And to do is just pull the hardware kit right off like this and like this. And then if there's any kind of rust on here where the hardware kit mounts up, you would file it down. In this case, there is no rust on there, so we're not going to worry about that. Same thing on this side here. There is a little bit of rust on here. We're just going to clean that up a little bit. You can use a file, you could use sandpaper, whatever you have. And remember, you're just removing the rust, nothing else. Alright, now that we have the rust off, you would take these slide pins out, pull them both out, and you would lubricate them with some brake grease, just a little bit, doesn't have to be a significant amount. Put them back into the same holes they came out, because they are, one goes in the top and one goes in the bottom. Just a little bit of grease, like this, and this one has a little rubber piece on the top here, so it has to go back in the same hole. Push them back in, make sure they slide nice and easy, like that. Same thing over here, slides nice and easy. Make sure your rubber boot is back up where it belongs in that little groove. Alright, and now our slide pins are all set. They slide just the way they're supposed to. Alright, now we're going to grab the hardware kit. We're going to put the hardware kit back in, put the new brake pads on. And remember, the brake pads are directional. The clip here, this is on the inner brake pad. The clip is on this location, so make sure you match it up with the pad that comes, the new pad. Let me grab the new pads, get the new hardware kit, and we'll get them back in there. Okay, now we have the new hardware kit. Very simple to put in. You basically just put it over the top like this here, and you push it down, and it locks right into where it's supposed to be. Same thing on the other side. You just push it down, and it goes right in. Before you put anything else back together, you got to lubricate everything. Wherever the brake pad touches, you got to lubricate like this. That way it'll slide nice and easy and keep it from freezing up. All right, now remember what I talked to you about this clip right here, right? The indicator. You have to make sure you put the same brake, the indicator on in the same direction, because you'll see it's a mirror image of it. We're not going to be using that one. All right, so this is the one that goes on there. We know this is the inner brake pad because you can see where the caliper piston was touching. And then we're just going to put the brake pad in here. Fairly simple. You can do it either here or you can do it in the car itself. Alright, put it right on like that. Same thing on this side over here. I'm going to put the new brake pad in here. Again, you can do it now or you can do it later on once it's on the car. Sometimes they stay in pretty firmly and you don't have to worry about it. Alright, that's basically what it's going to look like when it's all put back together. Alright, let's get over by the car and we're going to get this back on the car. We'll get the rotor on and we're going to get this job wrapped up. Put the rotor on is fairly simple. You're basically just going to line it up the way you took it off. This is the hole up on the top where you put your screw in, and you put this right over the top like that, and you put it on here, and then we're just going to catch that screw back in there. Remember, everything you do, you want to do by hand until you get the screw threaded. You don't want to cross-thread it by accident. So here we're going to screw it in by hand first. And then we'll tighten it up. Doesn't have to be real tight. You're just going to snug it in there. That's it. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to get that caliper mounting bracket back on here. Alright, put it over the top like this. And again, if you have the brake pads out and you want to put them in later, you could do that. Sometimes it's a little bit easier putting them on while it's on the bench. And then we're going to put our two bolts back into the back of the caliper mounting bracket. We're going to mount it back on. And we're going to screw everything in by hand as far as you can, both top and bottom. Remember, everything goes in by hand so you don't cross-thread it by accident. Once you have it turned in as far as you can by hand, then you tighten everything up. And we'll snug everything up in a minute. Remember, watch that cable in the back that goes to the anti-lock brake sensor. You don't want to break it or knock it off by accident. Tighten them up really tight. And we're going to go back and recheck that top one just to make sure. Nice and tight. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take that caliper and we're going to remount it back onto the car. Now sometimes these pieces here, when you try to screw the screws in, sometimes these rotate. If they do, you can grab a wrench and you can hold it while you tighten it, but we'll see how it goes. it up. Take our 2 screws that we previously took out that hold the caliper to the mounting bracket, and we'll put them both in. Screw them in by hand as far as you can. And once you got them screwed in by hand, then you can tighten up with the wrench or ratchet. This particular one we have to use a wrench because remember it was not able to get in there with the ratchet. Now remember what we talked about, sometimes these pieces here rotate. In this particular case it did not rotate, but if it did, you could slide a wrench right onto the back right here. Let me get a wrench and I'll show you. If you had to, you could put a wrench up on the top right here and hold it like that while you turn this in. But we'll see how it goes. Okay. And we don't need to do anything with that either. And that's it. Just want to show you one last thing here. We're going to make sure that the calipers bolts are both tight. Right? The caliper bolts are tight. The mounting bracket is also tightened on. Both of these bolts, this one and the one from the bottom, is on. Make sure that your anti-lock brake sensor didn't become dislodged for some reason, and make sure your wires are in good condition. We put our bolt in the face of the rotor and it's held in just the way it's supposed to. We lubricated each slide where the brake pad touches into the mounting bracket. When we lubricated those slide pins, and that's it. Job's all done. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the other side of the car. We're going to repeat the process on the other side of the car. And before you take the car for a drive, you're going to get in the car, you're going to step on the brake 3 or 4 times, and it's going to push the piston back out into the to the brake pad, and you'll have a nice firm brake pedal. All right, any questions, any problems you run into, drop me a line. Be more than happy to talk to you about it. All right, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.